Spoiler alert.
Hi. Yep, we're ready to go.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton, rode into the woodlands to the Alden Village Center. We picked up our group, headed down Research Forest, got on 1488 West through Mount Magnolia, 149 past Karen to Jackson Road. All of that's on camera. 1486 into Dobbins, Mount Moriah. We stopped at a store there and we stopped the filming. We continued on Mount Moriah through Dacus on 1486 Johnson Road, 1097 through the forest, off camera, 149 south, all the way down back to Montgomery, stopped at Taco, then took the back historic route to Spring Branch Road, through Keenan Cutoff, the Hills Parkway, Grand Lake Estates, back to Honia Egypt Road, and wrapped up the ride. It got kind of hot later in the morning, but we stopped and got some water. You can see what we did, a little roundabout there. We picked up, you just have to make sure you're hydrated, but I think you would love the clips we put together for you. We're leaving the Alden Village Center in the Woodlands, Texas. 26 degrees Fahrenheit. 26 degrees Celsius. It's about probably 75 or 76. You know, we have our usual mugginess here, but the temperatures have gone down just a tad. As you can see, this group has grown very healthily. I want to thank everybody that are showing up. We're all getting, we're iron is sharpening iron, as Laura puts it. There's another group over there standing around. That's what Abby's waving at. We have little factions. You'll hear Mike Barreras mentioned in a little bit.
You know, the Zonties, I was thinking about that this morning when I came from, passed by there. They used to be Team RR, but they keep moving west to get to not be melded with the faster guys. They're going to keep moving west. They're going to end up in El Paso.
Mike Barreras.
For that.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, you are wrong for that, sir.
Group, you know, I miss a lot of those guys, you know.
Yeah, Mike is saying that
My brother from another mother.
people are too hung up about whether they're in the A, B, or C group, and so what they do is they don't want to be in the B or the C group, so they go and they start their rides further away from where the faster groups start. And so these guys used to ride with us, and what Mike is saying is they've moved down the road right here, probably just a few miles west of where we start down the road here, a place called Zonties. He's saying they're going to keep moving west and they will end up in El Paso. And that's what Paul said, you're wrong for that. But they might end up in California if they keep moving west. Mike Barreras. Mike just says what he thinks. But Paul said you need to bite your tongue. Yeah, it's like, what is the big deal whether you're in the B or the C group? That's how you improve. I've talked about it before. That's how I improved. You start out, some days you start with the faster guys. You see how long you can hang. Then you fall back to the B or the C. And then the next time, you stay with the faster guys longer than you did the time before, you know. And eventually, you push yourself. But everybody here are too hung up about whether they're A, B, or C, and so they go and they start their group somewhere else because they don't want to ride at a faster pace, you know, and that's okay. That's their thing, but that's what Mike's talking about. He said we got all these little factions, and instead of just having, you know, a big group and have splits, which happens on the road anyway, you know. But it is what it is. We welcome all cyclists. We do not discriminate in our group. All we ask is that you be safe while you're out here. We want you to get home in one piece. to your loved ones. That's our only requirement, be safe. So we want to thank everybody that's been coming out. We want to thank the regulars. That's Mike, English Mike right there, putting his hand on that guy. Of course, Laura, Abby, and Tommaso Anselmi on the right there. That's John Z next to me at the front. We thank all of you for coming out. All you regular guys. That's Abby. He always greets us, my brother from another mother. We want to thank Kelly, Sophia, Andrea, and who else? Let's see. Kimberly, Terry comes from time to time. Everybody that shows up gives life to our sport. So, you know, I do these videos so that those of you who have not done a lot of group rides will not be intimidated to join a group. The group can help you. The group can help push you. So use the group on the days when you want to test yourself. Treat them like seasoning, just a dash. Don't do too much. You know, if you're tired, that's not the day to go with a very fast group. Unless you have people that are disciplined and want to take it easy, sometimes it's best to ride by yourself when you're tired. And sightsee. Enjoy the bike.
This guy.
What Paul and Abby are talking about is that after the ride, Paul did a ride with Abby and them on Thursday, and after the ride, Abby went and added even more miles. You know, just to accomplish whatever goal he was trying to accomplish. So Paul said, I saw you while I was driving home. That's what they're talking about.
My recovery started.
So Tommaso Anselmi is here, and I have noticed in the last couple of rides, he's riding a lot better. He's riding a lot smarter. He's learned a lot, and he's finishing the route. Regardless of whether he stays with the group the whole way or not, he hangs on for as long as he can, and then he kind of starts his own B group, but he finishes the route. This is what I was taught as a new cyclist. If the group is doing 50 miles, hang on for as long as you can. But if that's the day you want to build your endurance, let them go when it gets too fast for you, but finish the route. Don't turn around and go home unless you're really in a bad way. And that's what Thomas is doing. Thomas does the whole route. He stays with us as much as possible, and then he does the route and meets us at the store. And so even though he doesn't hold with the group the whole pace, he finishes with the group or fairly close to the group. And then eventually, that's how you will improve. That's what it takes. So just him being out here and being disciplined enough to finish, that's why I went and looked up his name. He's an Italian. And his name, Thomas, in Italian, they call it Tommaso. Tommaso Anselmi. I just like the sound of that. So he said that on this ride, he saw on my shirt that said, my jersey said, never give up. And he would see that, it would just empower him and motivate him to just hang in.
He got cut, that's all right.
But I noticed that he's sitting in the draft more, and he's saving his energy. So he uses it where
the same thing
he
that
really
happened to
needs
Ted
it. So that's what it takes, guys.
He went to Cancun.
So you need
As soon
to
as they cut him, he
know when to
came back.
use your efforts, use your energy. That's important.
You're a public figure, you can do things like that. They should leave that to us, the small people. They're nobody of this world.
Our weather jumped from like upper 80s, let's say low 90s to like 100 for the last couple of weeks. Now it's settling back a little below 100, whatever. It feels more tolerable, I guess, because we've dealt with such extremes. Well, we're leaving a little earlier. We leave at 7. And then we get back. Well, on this ride, we're doing actually 85 miles, about 139 kilometers, something like 135K, something like that, which is a long ride. But I kind of wanted to do something longer because the temperatures are not as extreme on this day anyway. Someone mentioned that on our rides, it's always cloudy. I replied to the comment saying the weather does what it does. We don't control that. If you notice, it looks overcast. in the summer, most of the time it starts out like this, but it burns off. The sun comes out, it gets hot. On the return, we were hot. It was sunny. So on Tuesday, I was riding. I usually ride early in the morning before work. So it was like almost 6 o'clock. And I hear bicycles coming on the course I was on near the area where we live. And Maurizio Topotopini is leading a group of maybe 3 or 4 riders, I'm estimating. Doug Shaw was there also. He comes by and he invites me to join. It turned out to be a mistake because it was just too early. They were going so fast. And so he asked me, he said, "Is it a coincidence that you're out here?" I said, "Yeah." You know, he thought maybe I knew they would be there. But I did get the information from Doug later on that they have these rides where they clip in at 5:30 in the morning. Because Doug is riding with them and then he commutes to work by bicycle. So he does the ride, then he goes to work. So it ended up being a nice ride, but it was just fast. I told Moore, I said, "Moore, you're riding like a cyborg today." And then Doug said, "That's pretty much par for the course." I mean, he was flying around every corner. It was like a criterium. And it was something I wasn't ready for. It was good though. I hung in as long as I could and then let Mo go. And then the rest of the guys came and I got on their wheels. So it was good. So we're getting consistent turnout. And as I said earlier, we appreciate everyone, especially our regulars. Because I just love riding my bike, but it enhances the enjoyment when you ride with people that are just good company, you know. We got Laura here, we got John Z, we got Tommaso Anselmi, we got Paulie Longa. That's how Mike Beretta talks about Paul. He calls him by his full name, Paulie Longa. That's English Mike Bradbury here. And of course, Abby up there.
How you doing? Go, sir.
So you've got the black to red fade going on today. Mr. Style.
Mike is talking about Paul's kid.
I'm trying to emulate you. I thought red and black today, and I was like, nah, I still can't do it.
We're cutting through this neighborhood here. It's nice and quiet. It'll take us to a road called Tamina, which drops us onto the FM 1488 westbound towards Magnolia, Texas. We're still waiting for 1488 west of 149 to be finished with the construction they're doing. But right now it's very hectic to go through there. So we've been staying clear of there. I may have to do a reconnaissance and see what the progress is, because I'd like to take the group out west one of these days towards Whitehall, the Renaissance Center, all these places.
Clear.
It's a good shot here. The gentleman behind Paul on the right in the picture rode with us, I believe last Sunday. There was a ride where we went on, started from the Trek store. I haven't gotten his name, but it's good to see him out here. He rode with us for a while. I did not see him on the return. I don't know when he let us go. We have another guy who hasn't been here in a while. His name is Logan. I will point him out. He used to ride with us when we used to do the Team RR rides as well. We haven't seen him in a while, so it's good to see him out here. I was giving Abby a hard time. Abby comes on these rides and he talks about, "Oh, I'm an old man. Oh, have mercy." I told him, I said, "Man, you're not playing that old man card." There he is on the left. He says all of that and acts like he's begging mercy from the group, but he's the one going to the front and forcing everything when we begin to ride. That's Abby. And so I told him, I said, "You're not going to do that old man card foolishness. We're not going to put up with that BS." I said, no old man, no, we're not having any mercy. I'll be styling in the Rafa Flyweight, the white shoes, white socks makes it look like boots, and then he covers his arms often to keep that sun off. I haven't been able to tolerate my arm sleeves. I mentioned that before. That's Mike Badass. Got the little the Old Glory stars on the shoulder there. Tomorrow is July 4th. Happy Independence Day, everyone. I'm hoping that we have a ride going somewhere. I have not posted a ride. I haven't seen one yet, but I may post one. I don't know. There's a dog on the left, and they didn't come on the road. That's what Paul was letting them, don't come out on the road. They stayed in their yard. This is a new rider here that joined us. I don't know if he's the one from Mexico City. We had a guy from Mexico City. I got to meet him. We'll try to introduce ourselves. That's Logan in the blue. We'll get a better shot of him. This is the guy with the colorful kit that was riding with us last Sunday. So the ride is getting popular, and I'm very pleased that we're able to keep this consistent. I think people like it because of just the ambiance. We don't bother people. Whatever you want to do, if somebody wants to go with you, to go with you. Even on this ride coming back, we had a split in the neighborhood, and Jennifer, I don't know if she'll be on camera. Jennifer sits at the back most of the time, but Jennifer is a workhorse. She pulled us back into the wind, and because of her, I was able to bridge up to the group that had split in the neighborhood. So I went on the board and gave her props, did a shout out to her and thanked her for that monster pull. I call it a huge pull, which it was. Because it was like, 70 miles into an 85-mile ride. It wasn't early. This is the FM 1488. We have hit the open road. And John Z is going to mention to me, should we go single file? I told him, yeah, because it's time to ride. Chatting is over. So you see me get on John Z's wheel up there. So for the next at least 10 kilometers, we don't expect to stop. Usually on this road, it's always green in this direction because the streets that cross this road are all little neighborhoods, so the lights favor this highway. This takes you into Magnolia, Texas. I believe 1488 runs all the way to Prairie View if you stay on it. It's one of our longest farm to market roads in this area. And then on the east side, it goes all the way to 45. We're approaching the intersection called Cimarron. It's a nice little lumpy neighborhood back there. I like to go there sometimes. The climbs are not as steep, about 5%, but you get a good workout. Thomas hit something over there. Piece of metal on the road. I read the road very well on this road because there's a lot of debris. Actually, a week ago, there was a lot of debris on the shoulder. You really couldn't ride the shoulder. You had to use the main lane if you came out here after our storm that came through and knocked down a bunch of pine trees. But it's clear that they had a sweeper out here because this thing was covered in debris, acorns and shrubs, all kinds of stuff, twigs. So they had to clean this. The cars didn't do this. We don't have a tailwind. If you look at the watts, it will stay around 250 to 350 here in this area. And I'm in the draft. I'm in second position. I'm second wheel and sitting very close to John. Keeping my cadence up. Tommaso Anselmi representing all the big boys out there. Doing the work. That's what it takes. You got to get out there. You're not going to get fast sitting on a couch watching Tom and Jerry or whatever it is you're into. You got to get up and get out there. Get at it. Thomas has been a regular on a lot of our rides. Also, Mike Barreras, Laura. We got a new guy here. Well, he's not new. Logan. I mentioned his name earlier. I'm sure we'll get a good shot at him later. It's a good shot of Thomas from the side. Tommaso Anselmi, Italiano, Loretta. You cut Laura and bicycles come out of her veins. I can say the same for me. We're sitting in the drive doing the work. It's just fun getting out, being on your bike. You clear your head. Got a lot of new friends. That's Logan right there that I mentioned, the blue jersey. It's good to see him out here. He hadn't been out with us for a while. He did a good chunk of the ride, and then he let us go when we hit the forest. He's building up his endurance. That's Mike Bradbury, English Mike. He was speaking French today in the peloton because Mike Barreras was harassing him. I think Mike Bradbury might be French or, you know, have ancestry in France or whatever. The Tour de France is coming up. So you're speaking French to me and just saying, I just said, je suis fatigué. It was late in the ride. And we laughed, you know. So we have a lot of mics in the area. We've got Mike Barreras, we've got Mike Bradbury, we got a Mike Weingrad. He lives in the same compound that these guys live in. In fact, I think we've just passed there on the left. I think Windcrest is around here. No, I think we've passed Windcrest. It's such a big area, it's hard to gauge from these pictures whether we're past the whole thing or not. And that's Abby. I saw Abby on Sunday. I was riding solo going home, and I just heard, my brother from another mother. He was going north, and I was headed south. I just gave him thumbs up. That's how he greets Paul and I. So most of my endurance rides are in this range, you know, 220 watts to like maybe 280, 300, you know, generally. You know, your average is always lower, but just generally. Somebody's cutting the grass on the side of the highway. That's what you see there. Whenever I see stuff like that, I stay away from it because there's other things in there that you don't see that can cause you to get a puncture. When there's a doubt, avoid that. And if you must go through stuff like that, stand on the pedals. Let the bike bounce around freely. I didn't get this guy's name in the gray. He's sitting out in the wind. He's going to be drifting back in a little while because this is not easy. And, you know, I'm sitting really close to John Z. You can see my heart rate still in zone 1. Because I know it's a long day, and with the heat, you don't know what your body will need to do. When the heat hits, if you're not fully hydrated, your heart rate goes up. So your body's trying to maintain its core temperature. If you're ever riding in hot temperature, your heart rate just keeps going up and it won't come down, you might want to back off or even stop and make sure you get some fluids in your system. So he's still sitting out there in the wind. That's not a very good expenditure of energy. You pay the price later. Now he's drifting back. It's time to go in the draft. I'm not sure what you're trying to prove. You're not going to impress anybody doing that. I mean, unless you just want to work harder. But, you know, if that's the case, just go to the front and pull. Help the group along.
My professor. Yeah, that's right.
I think they're talking about Mike Barreras, the professor. Mike had a little clinic on recovery rides on Friday, and we rode out to 105. So this road has a slight grade. I think it says 1%. And now the wind appeared in the morning to be coming from the west. As a result, when we got further out, the air was actually very cool. So even though it said 27, on parts of Jackson Road, it felt closer to 24, which is like, 75 degrees Fahrenheit. There were spots where, of course, under the foliage of the trees, it was just nice and cool. I really liked that. I think Abby's gonna film something. It looks like he took out his phone. Some of these guys do little clips and they stick it on the. He's cleaning the camera, I think. Okay, so he didn't film. Put it back. Some of these guys do short clips and stick them on our chat board. Thomas did one where he showed he was sitting on Mike Barrera's wheels. I guess I'm pulling now because John Z is actually sitting in about third or fourth wheel position because I was on his wheel. He started this whole thing, and I think I stayed there. I will stay there until probably after the downhill and let Laura take over. When there's a good sized group, I don't do very long pulls. See who wants to contribute or who can, or chooses to. When there's not enough people, then you can go back later and take another cut. But give everybody a chance to contribute and move the group along. If you're riding with the group and you can hold the pace or you can chat, conversate, you need to at least get to the front and do some work. Yeah, so I'm pulling. I just saw that. So John came off the front and slipped back in front of Abby. And if you're riding with the group and you want to do a lot of work, that's what you do. When you get off the front, you don't have to go all the way to the back. You can see if you get a chance to get in front. Somebody will always let you go in front. There's always someone who doesn't want to pull. I just pulled off. I'm going to slip right behind Abby here. I'm going to wait till there's a gap. Now, it's coming up in a few kilometers, probably about 8 kilometers, about 5 miles. I end up making a move in front of Paul that startled him. Although, I checked. I made sure there was plenty of room. But he didn't know it was a sudden move. And you would hear him say, "Oh, man, that's a sudden move." I did not hear it because of the wind, and you see me point to my ear. And later on at the stop, I apologized to him because I asked him what he was saying, and he told me, and I apologize for that because it's not cool to startle your fellow riders. That was not my intent. You will see why I did what I did, but I was getting over the white line, and it had those little what I call rumble strips almost. They're little ripples that you roll over, and they feel like a washboard. So I just kind of use my hips and move the bike over the white line so I wouldn't be sitting. Somebody lifted the pace right there. So I wouldn't be sitting on that line any longer than I had to. But it startled him. Even though there was plenty of room, he didn't expect me to just dart to the left into the main lane. But I had already checked for both his wheel and traffic. And the reason I did that is as soon as I did that, the guys at the front sneakily accelerated, and you will see that I basically just had to accelerate and get up there because I kind of knew they were going to do something like that. Because at that intersection with 149, where it becomes Jackson, it's a 2% grade, and they did that to, put the hurt on people. So once we got to the store, I asked him, and he told me, and I apologized to Paul. I said, yeah, sorry I did that because it's not good to startle riders. You need to be more predictable. You need to do everything kind of smooth. I mean, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But he was never in danger. It's just that he was surprised by the move. That's all. The road is going up here. It's a slight grade, and with the wind, we're going into the wind. The wind's coming from the left, but mostly from in our face. It's from the west, so we got a bit of a dry wind. It's not too humid. It's not like in the winter or anything. I'm just saying we enjoy what we can get. Somebody lifting the pace. If you look at my cadence, I'm probably around 100 RPM. Yeah, I'm over 100 RPM. I used the same gear and just revved it up. And the reason I did that is we got the overpass coming, so you don't want to burn out your legs. It's like I'm saving my legs for later. I hope that makes sense. So by keeping my cadence high, I'm recruiting more fast twitch muscles. They have different oxidative capabilities. They have a lot of endurance. I'm saving my fast twitch for high intense efforts because they need more recovery time. It does tax your aerobic system, but you have to train accordingly. So the ride I was talking about that I ended up doing with more of them, I was riding and I was at the point, I said, this is too early in the morning for this. Why am I putting myself through this? Then I looked around and nobody else was on his wheel but me because they knew better. I had not done that ride with them before. They do about 20 or 21 miles and it's just fast. So needless to say, I would be back for more. How soon we forget, right? But it was good. It was a nice change. The roads are all familiar. It's just that we're covering them so fast. We went through Whole Foods, and even though I go there by myself, I was like, man, we went through Whole Foods on Grogan's Mill, Lake Woodlands Drive. People in the area know those roads because they're frequented by cyclists. So they do loops close to home, and it's like a criterium almost. So I titled this Anaerobic Capacity because once you get much over your threshold, you're doing anaerobic work. Oxygen is not a factor. You pay the price later. Of course, you've built your base, but you're basically recruiting the ATP fuel and different kinds of fuel. You're teaching your body to adapt. I can still hear Mike talking back there. He's talking with probably, is it Logan? No, Logan's in front. Oh, he's talking with Mike Bradbury, English Mike. The two mics are chatting. I'm reading the road here because I got my Renee Hurst tires and I'm trying to make sure I get my money's worth out of this pair because the other ones I didn't get value. Somebody lifted the pace, and what I'm doing is I'm using the smallest possible gear, as the French say, souplesse, using the smallest possible gear and keeping my cadence reasonably high. I'm not going to go much over 110, I don't think. So if you look at my cadence and look at John in the green in front of Abby, we're doing different things. John is using a slightly lower cadence, it's in a larger gear. That's the rhythm. I'm fanning a lighter gear. Well, what that gives me is as the hill bites, I can accelerate quicker. You'll see me go to the right of John because somebody keeps lifting the pace, and I want to keep my rhythm the same. I don't want to slow down. You see over 500 watts. And 105, 109, my RPMs. You know, I'm not looking at it when I'm riding. I'm just riding the gear and making sure I'm on top of it big time. That allowed me to really accelerate without any kind of labor. There was no burn to my legs, but there was burn in my lungs. So it raises your heart rate in a hurry, but it's like a rev, almost like a sports car. So it revs up, but then it goes back down quickly if you're fit. The recovery of your oxygen system is faster than if you overtax your muscular system. There's some kind of construction pile on here. For these barrels on the left. This is where if you continue west, they only have 2 lanes and there's heavy construction. So we have not been on this road to go west since we encountered that maybe a month or so ago. And I'm hoping they can finish what they're doing so we can get out and go west. But we'd probably have to go on 1486 if we want to go to Whitehall and stuff like that. But that makes it a very long ride. And with the hot temperatures we're having, I don't want people out here much after 11:30 in the morning. I want us to be done. So I'm being very selective on the courses right now, keeping us under the canopy of trees wherever possible. I think that's what Abby was saying, my brother from another mother or something. No, I think he may have already said it. I'm actually stretching my back there. I'm not doing that for any other reason than to stretch my back, because I've been sitting for so long. It felt good to just kind of stand and roll the gear I was in. So there's no one way to climb. There's no one way to skin the cat. Find a rhythm that works for you, but don't climb the same way all the time necessarily. There are some times where, like back there, it felt good for me to spin. There's sometimes it feels good for me to push. And then sometimes you just need to push. You got to push to survive. That's just the way it is. Because sometimes you don't feel like spinning because you're already like dying or tired or whatever, and it feels good to just use your muscular system. So you got to balance it off.
Yeah, I've never read it.
And by spinning, I'm referring to spinning a high cadence. Because once you're smooth enough, spinning is the act of going through the pedaling cycle efficiently. You can spin at 80, you can spin at 75 by staying smooth. So nowadays it's synonymous to say spinning. I missed the clip-in, so you saw how I just let the pedal come back and clipped in. Nowadays when people say I'm spinning, everybody assumes there's a high cadence, but you can spin at any cadence. It's being efficient. So there are times when you got to push, meaning 80 RPM or so, 80, 85. That's what it takes to go up a climb. When people are getting away from you, sometimes you got to use a large gear. It's just the best thing to do as opposed to spinning a small gear at a higher cadence. It all comes down to how you're feeling in the moment. You make those decisions on the fly. Abby was trying to avoid hitting his brakes. So he did what I'm going to do later. What Abby did was what I did. But I did it in such a manner that it was a sudden thing and Paul didn't expect it. So it startled him. He just wasn't looking. But I had already checked for his front wheel. I had looked down and I knew that I had enough space. But it was such a sudden movement because I darted over the line. Because you see those things, they got little pieces. I don't know if they're rubberized or whatever. They're not very raised, but when you go over them, they're not comfortable. They put them there so the drivers can get a warning when they're drifting out of the lane. And I don't like to roll on them. They're uncomfortable. So when I go over them, I just kind of make a direct move to get across them. He didn't expect me to do that. That's all. So he said, "That you were here." He said, "Oh man, that was a sudden move." And so then I asked, like, "What?" And then he said it again, but I didn't hear it. So I pointed to my ear, and he kind of knew what I meant, meaning I can't hear you because there's wind. We've got a lot of wind coming from the left, and it's swirling around. It's just very breezy. It seemed breezy. And I did that in the moment, and I'm glad I did, because by the time I pointed to my ear, the guys at the front were lifting the pace already, and it would have taken a lot more work to get up there had I not made that move, I guess. But just be aware when you're in the group that before you do anything, make sure no wheel is there. You don't have to look behind. Look down. You can tell. You know, you look down. You can see if there's a wheel nearby, and you can look left or right if there are people around you. Always check. So I knew it was clear, but he didn't know, and that's what startles people when you don't give them enough warning or whatever. But it wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't a dangerous move. It just surprised them. That's all. I broke out the orange helmet today because I felt like it would go well with this jersey, and it did. I've got my shoe covered with a Lycra shoe cover, mostly for they're designed for aerodynamics, but I wear them because it's so much easier to clean up afterwards. And I've got one of my fabric shoes on, and on a long ride like this, I figured let me just cover it up. I don't have to deal with it later. So it's not hot at all. It breathes really well. It's very lightweight Lycra. They make them in multiple different colors. We've got a few copies that we use. I'm staying a little back so I can see around them. There's too much yo-yo going on right now. Yo-yoing. We accelerate, we slow down, So I back up a little bit. I'm going to ride up in a bit. You see me looking. I'm a little to the right so I can see around the line. So I'm not particularly drafting very closely, but it's not very hard right now. You can see my watts are under 200. This is Highway 149. We're north of Magnolia, Texas. Northwest of Magnolia, Texas. We're going to be continuing straight at the intersection I mentioned, where I'm going to make that move. This road becomes a road called Jackson Road, but this road continues to the right. So if you turn right, it continues to the right. So this area here that we're approaching is called Karen, the town. Where you see the railroad tracks to the right there. They've got some nice little lumps in the subdivision back there. We visited that area. We have explored all these little roads back here. A small village in there with a bunch of lumpy roads in the subdivision. I'm sitting in a 5317 right now, just revving it. So a lot of roadkill. Even though they're half rotted away, the vultures, the cleaners, the buzzards, have gotten that feel, but you don't want to roll over roadkill, even though it's decayed. There might be bones in there that can give you a puncture. Don't take the chance, avoid it. That's a piece of tire. Every summer I see those things. They're all over the roads. Some of these guys buy tires that are used with, that are retreaded. I think they're more prone to shredding like that, or some of them that are just worn beyond where they should be. I'm staying in the 17 and just revving it up. I'm getting my legs ready for the climbs to come. There are a couple of bumps at the end of Jackson, so I'm just saving my legs. And then we got Johnson Road, we got Mount Mariah. You know, you got to be thinking ahead. And when I was following more on Tuesday, I had to keep my cadence up because he always accelerates around every corner. He will get out of the saddle and kick up. And so if you don't keep your gearing reasonable, your legs just die on you. They tighten up. A lot of debris from the storm. Those are just pieces of wood, it looks like. We're approaching an intersection where, and this is why Paul got startled, because now I believe he's on the road right now. Right there.
That was a
Right
sudden
there.
move.
He said that was a sudden move. He did not expect me.
Sudden move.
I didn't hear him, so I point out my ear to let him know I didn't hear him. And so I found out later, you know, when we got to the stop, I asked him. But the reason I did that was I'm looking at those guys up there, and right here they start to go. I see it. You will see my cadence go up because they're sneaking. There's a 2% climb while I'm in a climb. It's a grade right at the intersection. See there? Right here, you can get gapped. And somebody turned the screw right there. We're doing almost 40K, and it's 2%. So I ride up to stay in the draft. You can see Laura digging to get up there. It's Abby with his sneaky self, Mr. Have Mercy. Abby always does these little sneaky accelerations. So since Paul was already on the road and I was on the shoulder, he didn't expect me to come over so suddenly. But I had looked and I knew that his wheel was safe, you know, but he didn't know. It was just a sudden movement. So I startled him. And I apologize to him for it, you know. So Abby goes to the front and he does little sneaky accelerations, and he acts like people are not gonna notice that. He was the one that raised the pace back there right at that intersection, because he knew that if you're behind and he raises the pace, by the time you get to that 2% grade, you gotta work that much harder to get back in the line. This is Jackson Road. It was repaved a few years ago. It has held up nicely. Just nice, smooth asphalt. It's never very busy. The traffic speeds are up there to like 55 or whatever, but it's not heavily traveled. This is a rural part of the county. We are still in Montgomery County, Texas. We're heading towards the FM 1486, which is about 10 kilometers up the road. And there are a couple of bumps out here.
sitting here and expecting to pull.
So the thing is Tommaso Anselmi is riding really well. You can see he's in the draft, saving his energy. Because what happens is on a road like this, he has to work and put out a lot more watts when we get to those bumps than the lighter riders. You know, we all do. We have to work. We have to do what we got to do. So he's saving his energy now so that when we come to those bumps, he can do it well. When you ride in a group, resist the urge to sit in the whole time if you don't need to. Meaning, you want to get stronger, you better get your nose in the wind. Because just sitting in a group for hours on end, you end up staying in a low zone and you don't get much of a workout. It's not a race the way you say, oh, I'm saving my energy to go later. You're training, so you need to train. If that's your hard day and you're in a group, you better get out there and hit the wind. Put your nose in the wind. Otherwise, you're cheating yourself. You might as well ride by yourself. You probably get a better workout if that's all you're going to do. There are days where I prefer to ride by myself than sit behind in a group. I want to get a workout for the entire duration. A lot of my endurance training, I do it solo. And especially if I'm doing intervals, I'll do them by myself. I treat the group as a situation where you're going to test how your work has been going, meaning you're trying to put everything together. A lot of racers will use races to test themselves. You know, that is the best training, but you do the pieces and then you go to the race to put it all together and see how things are coming. That's Logan drifting to the back. This is a big group, a nice turnout. The guy in the green over there, he's got green socks, orange shoes, green jersey, nicely kitted. I never got his name, but I remember his bike. He was with us on the Sunday ride last week. And so it was good to see him out here. I don't know if he's on the chat board or not, but he rode with the Romeo. I think it was a Romeo ride. I think it's Mike Bradbury pulling right now. English Mike, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe not. I don't remember who was pulling at this point. I'm up near the front because I'm watching these guys. They keep doing these little sneaky accelerations. I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit in the top third. I'm on Thomas's wheel. Tommaso Anselmi, Italiano. Oh, Mo came by at the start of our ride to just say good morning on his way to his ride. It's always nice to see him. So he came by. He said, "Oh, I'm just stopping to say hi." I think his ride might be leaving at 7:30 or something like that. So he was there right at 7. This road is a slight drag, kind of like a ninja grade, until we get within about probably, I would say, 5 kilometers of 1486. Then you start seeing the lumps. So even coming out here on this road solo is a nice ride, because this is what you encounter even during the week. You get a car now and then, you know. It's rare that you get just a lot of cars zooming by, you know, but it's just, there's not a whole lot out here other than ag properties and, you know, large acreage homes. Not a whole lot of, there's no major industry. There are a few things out here. You got houses on the side there, but it's just nice. Since they paved the road, it's even better. I am sitting tightly in the wheels. That's why my heart rate is still low. Once we hit the climb, it's going to go up, of course, because I'm going to keep my gears low and spin it up. Tax my aerobic system. You can see the road going off if you look at the picture. And we feel it. And so you have to look for that ratio that you can handle. I stay to the left so I can maintain my rhythm. I will probably end up riding alongside Thomas for a while. I don't pass him. I just stay to his left, so I don't have to slow down. It's a little awkward when you have to slow in a group on a hill and then start over again. It's like it takes a lot of watts to restart, so to speak. I'm not sure what Paul was laughing at, but I'll ask him offline. But I'm sure something he caught. I thought Laura looked behind. Everybody's focused here. The watts are coming down because the road is leveling off. It's going to level off, then in the distance it kicks up a little bit, then it goes left, and then kicks up before the intersection. This is a nice route. If you have about 4 or 5 hours to ride, you come out here, it's nice. Right there, you see it sweeps to the left. And you want to make sure you maintain your rhythm. And it's going to kick up. It's a steeper pitch, but it's much shorter than what we've been dealing with. see the grade going up. It might be around 5%. Doesn't last very long, but it gets there in a hurry. It bites.
Can't get in a good rhythm, can you?
That's what Paul's laughing at. It's all the slowing down and, you know, yo-yoing. We encountered it on the way back, too. I think there's a car in front of us that we have to stop.
Yeah, there's a lot of hooky-cooky going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Mike Bradbury, English Mike, that's been pulling on that stretch. It's going to pull off in a little while. I think Abby would take over. Or I think we changed positions on that corner. Let me see. I think I'm in front of Abby now. When I'm in a group and I'm feeling all right, I don't worry about what position I'm in. I just want to work out. It's not a bike race. I don't have to be that tactical. This is the FM 1486. We're headed north towards Dobbins, Texas. I think I'm in third position at this point. What I found on this ride, that's what Paul and Laura were talking about a little while ago, was a lot of yo-yoing. You're climbing, you get a rhythm, then they slow down in front of you. Then you got to start all over. It's hard. It takes a lot of effort to start all over on a climb. So Mike pulls off the front. I believe Abby has taken over. I'm on his wheel. There's a lot of debris, so we're using the main lane right here. In a little while, we'll get back on the shoulder. It clears up. I may already be on the shoulder. Shoulder gets wider here. We still stay within a foot of the white line because it's cleaner then. Looks like I'm in third position. I thought I was on Abby's wheel. I think I'm following John. Abby's pulling. John Z is on his wheel, and I'm on John's wheel. And then Mike Paredes is on my wheel. a few kilometers, we'll come to Mount Mariah Road, which will take us to our first stop on the ride. But this whole stretch, all that climbing, definitely anaerobic work. The road's going to sweep to the left. I believe, I don't know if this section kicks up a little bit. Very slight grades are here, little rollers. Yeah, there's a slight roller in the distance there. This is where it kicks up, and then we'll level off before we turn onto Mount Mariah Road. Looks like asphalt or something on the side of the road there. Looks like it was just casually dropped there or something. It's really weird. In a bit, we'll go over the railroad tracks and turn left onto Mount Mariah Road. We take the main lane when it's time to turn left. There was a car behind me. I think he waited. So right here, somebody forces the pace. You'll see the watt now. You see 900 watts, 800 something watts. Somebody forced the pace. See Laura digging, and then they back off right away. So from 8 something to like now it's 400. So the pace is still high. 400 something watts. You're doing 400 plus watts, you're working. I mean, it was like 800-900 on that curve. You have to do that to stay close. You got to select your gears appropriately.
Watch out.
There are a lot of little cracks on this road where the pavement, the soil underneath the pavement has washed away, so the road is almost separating, and the cracks are significant enough to where you feel them if you go over them, and they're precariously close in width to our tires. So you don't want to get your tires caught by something like that. And if that does happen, unclip right away, because your bike will stop suddenly. Either you unclip or you do a track stand, but it's usually when those things happen, you're not expecting them. So your best bet would be to unclip right away. Or the best thing to do is actually do not roll exactly over the cracks. So we're gonna stay to the outer side of it. They don't look like the kind that can grab our tires. They're not wide enough or consistently wide enough to grab our tires at this point, but they're uncomfortable to go over. You can see my RPMs, triple digits. I didn't realize I was spinning that fast. But I'm looking at the film and I can see my legs going around faster. As we approach the intersection, I shifted up. This is 105, so I don't know what you did this weekend, but this is part of what we did on Saturday. I think we're going to stop. There are cars coming in, we stop. You know, the group wouldn't make it, trying to be safe. So no matter what, remember, get your K's in and keep all the doctors fired. Happy 4th of July to everybody.
Yeah.
Holy Lunga,
Yes, sir.
you're looking good with those classic tan sidewalls.
It's almost downright cool a couple times. Okay. Yep.